Yes? Certainly a very hot line in here, I can tell you.
This is incredible, because I won't interrupt...
811-2211-01. 811-2211. Hotline is the chance for you to headline and make your dreams come true. Hotline is the show that tries to help.
Welcome to Hotline. Well, it's very calm in here after the frenzy of last week, and later on we'll be bringing you up to date on last week's successes. But this week we've got someone searching for the cast of the 1944 RAF musical review, What a Performance, for Wedgwood Mimosa pattern cups and saucers, for Anyone Anywhere called Shepcott, for singing pets, and for troublemaking terrapins that have got too big for their tanks. And there's also a lady looking for a rock and roll partner. So get ready to phone us. Or if you're close enough, of course, you can join us here in the studio. Because tonight we're in London. We're at the Television Centre in Shepherd's Bush, which is just opposite the White City Tube Station.
Yeah, that's right. In the next 50 minutes, we'll be introducing you to all these people who want you to call them. Now, if it's you that they're looking for, or if you think you've got what they want, you can ring them live on the show and talk to them on the programme. Our research team up there they are, it looks like the front of a chip shop. They'll talk to them first, just to screen out one or two of the undesirables, and then they'll put you through to these booths. Now, our main hotline number tonight is 01811 2211. Now, write that down, because you may well need it during the course of the next 50 minutes. Check that again, 01811 2211. Now, that's our main hotline number, but if that one's busy, and it may well be if it's anything like last week, there will also be extra phone numbers for each single story to increase the chance of you getting through to us. And all the numbers tonight are on CFAX, page 185.
Now, just one other thing. If you do want to come on Hotline yourself and make a request, will you please wait until the end of the programme when we'll give you an address to write to?
That's right. The enormously helpful Lakido and D'Artagnan are with us again this week, our identical twin roller-skating messenger boys. Now, they'll be looking after our guests. They'll be helping us helping you keep your telephone messages flowing into us here in the studio. And generally, we hope they're going to be a lot quieter than they were last week. Lots of people seem to notice that last week. Anyway, let's get on with the show. Let's meet our first guest. He's someone who really doesn't need much introduction to a lot of people. And quite honestly, I wouldn't have thought he's the sort of bloke that we could help much. He's Richard Branson. Good start, lads. He's Richard Branson, and he's the owner of Virgin Records and Virgin Atlantic. Richard, nice to see you. You said to me, whatever you do, shake your hand very carefully. You've done some damage, haven't you?
Yeah, I had a little bit too much sport last week.
Too much sport? I see. We won't explore that. OK, so how come... I can't think of anything in the world that you need that we can do. Anyway, what do you want?
Well, I decided that if we could find singing animals, we wouldn't have to pay them royalties. So...
I see, ever the businessman.
So, my aunt rang me up about 2 years ago and said that her black sheep, lives in Norfolk, was singing Bar Bar Black Sheep. So initially I was very sceptical, but we sent up a mobile, we recorded the sheep, and we had an enormous hit record. And so we thought...
you did. I remember it sort of crept into about the 30 or something, your own unforgettable rendition of Bar Bar Black Sheep with a choir of singing sheep. So really you're looking for, all sorts of things you're looking for? All sorts of animals?
Yeah, well, my uncle has a trout farm. We thought maybe we could have
singing trout. That'd be good. As long as they're above the surface. What sort of things? Goats?
Oh, goats, dogs, badgers, anybody who can't have a lawyer who wants royalties, really.
I see. OK, well, I'll tell you what, let's have a little recap. If you can't remember, and who can, Richard's unforgettable record or his company's unforgettable record of the singing sheep, here they are again with their own once-heard, ne'er-forgotten rendition of Bar Bar Black Sheep. Yes, well, I suppose they are cheaper than humans, aren't they? Not so temperamental as the average rock and roll star. Even better looking. Yes, well, obviously, we didn't have time for all of that. We just had the first few. Now, straight away, the number to ring for Richard, if you think you've got a pet that may or may not be some use to him, here's the number to ring. It's 01, if you're outside London, 01811 9270. Now, you can't help notice that while Richard's been scratching, which may or may not be relevant to the animal sitting next to him, which has nothing to do with Diane on the end, who's brought in the animal in the middle, who's called...
Iraqi, or Alibaba's Moonshine.
Alibaba's Moonshine, and Iraqi for short.
Iraqi for short.
Now, his main claim to fame in the world is that he sings to ABBA records.
He loves ABBA.
On television, live, always.
We hope.
Until now. Yes. He's very good in rehearsal. Go on then, so you've got your cassette machine somewhere, hopefully.
Yes,
Have you got
right
that
in
much?
front. Shall I start
Well, I
it?
think get the ghetto blast. Are you ready, Iraqi? Stop it! Have you got the contract? He was excellent, actually. Because one of the problems with items like that is usually they don't work when you do them on television. Actually, nothing happens at all. He's wonderful. OK, well, Richard, can I take you over to the booth and wait for some calls? So, I'll take Richard over to sit himself down. Now, if you've got an animal with a good singing voice like Iraqi over there, or a good line in chat, get him on the phone to ring Richard now. You've got till 8 o'clock. The number for all your pets to sing down is 01811 9270. That's 01811 9270. Oh.
There's so much that you could do. We're all waiting here for you to call the hotline.
Now, our next guest is looking for 16 old friends that he saw all together in 1944 when they were in the RAF musical review called What a Performance. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Sam Lipson. You can recognise the music?
Oh, it's one of the tunes from the show.
Was it really?
Yeah.
In fact, it was quite a popular show, wasn't it?
It was a very popular show at the time. We were up and down Yorkshire, Lincolnshire, playing at air bases. We even played one or two civilian theatres. We played Scarborough, we played Bridlington, we played the City Varieties in Leeds. That's one of the BBC theatres.
And in fact, you were just all, though, in the RAF, weren't
Yes.
you? Now, this is the...
This is a picture,
This is the picture of the cast.
of the cast
Right.
and chorus line, almost.
This is the chorus line. Can we start there from that end?
Yes, well,
And-
as many as I can remember. Gene Bridgman.
Well, no, how about the chap at the end? You
I
missed
don't
him.
remember his name.
I see.
I'm very sorry, whoever you are. Gene Bridgman, Ted Scott, Gene Stewart, Ian McCall, Peter Aldersley.
Did you know something about
Yes, he, after we got demobilised, he was with Radio Luxembourg as a disc jockey for quite a while.
wonderful.
But I've lost complete contact with all of them. Napier Pern, Gordon Napier Pern, he was the producer. He was at the time quoted as being an ex-BBC variety producer.
Who knows, he might still be in our
I'm
vaults.
hoping he's still with us.
Yes.
Yours truly. And then we have to skip all
Moustache
those.
black there.
No, it was touched up. It's the same colour as it is now.
OK, here we go. Carry on.
And right at the end is Roy de Jong, with whom I kept in touch until 1956.
Well, let's pop that away, because behind here is a cartoon that was published in the News of the World, and here we've got the stars, haven't we?
Yes.
Here's Napier that you've just been
That's
chatting
right,
about.
in the
How
centre.
about Jean Stewart? Did you remember her?
Yes, she danced and she sang, and she was rather a gorgeous young lady
Wonderful.
at the time.
Here's yourself, Sammy Lipson.
Yes, doing
And here
almost nothing.
And here's Peter Aldersley.
Yes, the disc jockey.
The disc jockey.
And
And here's this
Roy de Jong.
Now, you said that you had got in
Yes,
touch
the
with him.
last time I saw him was in 1956 when he and his partner, he was known as de Jong and Delicia, they performed in Morecambe, at the theatre in Morecambe.
Well, I think we've got actually a piece of film to show Mr. de Jong
Yes.
and his partner, and I think it's coming up now.
Oh,
There
yes,
we are.
That's right. There's my wife and daughter as well. And there's the poster outside, De Jong and Delicia.
Yeah.
And then he does a little bit of performing.
Yes. And
Rather amateur photography.
and that was the first time since you'd seen him in 1944?
That was for the first time since 1944, and that's
Yeah.
the last time.
And that's the last time.
I've never heard from him since.
Well, that's a pity. It obviously was a very happy time for you.
Oh, yes, we all enjoyed ourselves tremendously.
And you said that you didn't do very much. Can you remember anything from the show? A good line or...
A good line, a corny line, because jokes then were quite different to jokes today. I used to have to try and recite some poetry, but I never got further than the second line because somebody, a member of the cast, would dash on and do an I say joke, something similar. What can I say? Oh, yes. Do you know, I'd be doing my party piece, someone would dash in and say, did you know that my dog doesn't have a nose? And I would say, no. How does he smell? And they would say, oh, something terrible.
That's my kind of humour. That's my kind of humour. All right, Sam. So why do you want to get together with all these people?
Well, I think it's about time we did make friendships again and talk about the old times, because they were great, even though the war was on.
Right, well, I do hope you get some phone calls
so
from
do
all
I.
those people. So off you go now. I think D'Artagnan will take you to your booth. And you can be ready to receive any phone calls. So, if you were in that cast of What a Performance in 1944, or if you know where any of those people are, ring us on 01 749 9656. That's 01 749 9656.
Ring now if you're the one we're looking for. Ring now. Come on down this number now.
Richard Branson's been listening to the phone and giggling. I tremble to think what sort of creature he's got on the other end. We'll come to him in a couple of minutes. Our search for a partner this week is centred on London. Kathy Morley is looking for a man who's good at rock and roll, whatever that means. Every week she goes down to Hammersmith Palais for a bop. And last week I went down to see Kathy in action.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Well, here we are then. I must say, you look very nice this evening.
Thank you very much.
Now listen, just so we can see you in action, we've got a gentleman called John Edwards, a well-known rock and roll expert.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
Never mind all that. If you just take her onto the floor, please, and put her through her paces. And you can only borrow him. You've got to bring him back before midnight, OK? Well, now, you go to the Hammersmith Palais twice every week looking for this mythical partner. You've been doing so since, what, 1955?
1955 I've been dancing.
Well, what's the biggest problem with the blokes that you meet who come up for a jive? They can't last the pace.
They just stand there and shake themselves, Well, I don't want that. I want to dance. I want to jive,
Would you find the men basically are very fat and flabby and they can't stand the pace?
Yes. Over 40 they are. They just give up. You dance for them for 2 minutes and they start to jive. They're perspiring and they say, oh, thank you very much, and they're gone.
What about the young ones? I mean, do they try?
The young ones try, yeah, but, they haven't got the rhythm, they're sort of out of tune and it's very difficult,
Do you do all that stuff where you jump up and down in the air and disappear over the bloke's back and between his legs?
Oh, yes, if I find somebody the partner's got to lead me.
Well, you're
if he
killing
leads
this
me,
poor
I can
bloke.
do it. Well, this is it, I killed them, you see, and that's why they don't come back no more.
Is there anybody in the world who you could choose from who'd be your ideal rock and roll partner?
Oh, yes, I'd love to have Tom Jones for my rock and roll partner. But Terry Wogan would do.
Terry Wogan?
Oh, yes, Terry is my
He's all
second special.
dissolute and flabby.
Oh,
and...
he's lovely and flabby. I'd soon take that off if he went to the jive with me.
There's a lot of people do mistake Terry Wogan for Tom Jones, don't they? Especially when he's wearing the chest mat. You're very rude about him being flabby.
Well, I mean cuddly, really.
Cuddly,
Oh,
OK.
yes,
Well, now, listen, I think just to make sure that people start these calls on the right sort of footing, what about... how can I put this? What about when the rock and roll is over? What about after the dance?
Well, that depends on him.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I was trying to distract that sort of caller. I see.
Well, yeah.
Oh, OK, fine. Well, there you are. If you think you'd make the ideal rock and roll partner for Kathy, whatever that means, the number to ring to talk to Kathy is 01 749 9611. That's 01 749 9611. I'm sorry, halfway through that, there was a squeal. Yes, sorry, I got distracted during that.
But you
There's a
can actually
squeal
play,
from
can you?
this telephone here. I don't quite know what he's got.
Well, we got a dog that plays the piano.
A what?
A dog that plays the piano called George.
Well, that'll be...
And it sings at the same time.
Yes, well, it would, wouldn't it? Yes, it probably would.
And it really does. Can we have George again, you think?
Can I pick up... I don't know
Yeah,
which one
do.
of these you picked up. That one.
Hello?
Hello?
George, are you still there? Sorry, it's Chris Tarrant. Good evening.
George is, yes. Hello.
What? George, presume... Oh, George is the dog.
Of course he's a... Yes, he's a dog.
Sorry. It's just the way he said, George is on the phone and you answered. I thought you were called George. Sorry.
I'm Joe. George is
Joe.
the dog.
Of course you are. George is the dog. Plays the piano and sings. Yeah,
Don't
fine.
say the
Right.
word too loud, or otherwise he will play it, though.
Well, we had a great success with Iraqi earlier on, so can we have a little burst over the phone of some sort? What can we have? What can we hope for?
Well, a bit of bark, perhaps.
Come on then, let's get him up there.
Okay, then.
Okay, right. George, piano. Piano. Piano.
Doesn't really... Sounds more like what we used to call barking.
If you can hear the piano in the background.
Well, there you are. We'll leave George... That's right, he is actually... I don't know if he's playing it. We'll leave George tinkling away in the background.
Yes!
Yes, that'd be very nice. Well, we're looking forward enormously to meeting you.
Yeah, you can tell him
okay,
to
thank
stop.
you. Right. The number to ring for Richard is 018119270. Mary in the audience, how are you getting on over there?
The dog sounds marvellous, doesn't it? Well, now, various members of our studio audience here tonight are hoping that Hotline can help them as well. And the number to ring for all of these stories is 01811 2211. And the Kido and D'Artagnan will be keeping them and us informed as soon as your calls arrive in. Well, first, we have Anne Garrett, who is looking for that Wedgwood mimosa pattern china that we've all been talking about. Now, can we just start off by looking at this... Wedgwood mimosa pattern. It's very pretty, isn't it? Isn't it? And in fact, that's the pattern that's eluded you so far. And people have to look on the back, I think, don't they? And if we look here, that's the Wedgwood sign, and it actually does say...
Wedgwood bone china.
Wedgwood...
Mimosa.
Mimosa.
Yes.
Now, Alan, why is it so important to you?
Well, it was a wedding present, a dinner and tea service, and one or two pieces over the years have got broken, and we'd like to fill in the gaps and add a few more place settings.
I find it unbelievable, though, that, you know, something as fine as this, that you couldn't get a replacement, say, from Wedgwood, or at least somewhere. Where did you try?
Well, Wedgwood themselves eventually have to change their patterns. We all want to see new patterns in the shops.
Mm-hmm.
And old patterns get discontinued eventually.
You were very enterprising, though, because you tried yourself, didn't you? What did you do?
Well, having talked to friends about it, we found that quite a number were in the same situation as we were. And so we decided to form a company called China Match and ask people to let us know if they had discontinued lines they'd like to sell or
And
to
you
make
didn't.
up.
Yes, and you didn't, and even then. Well, you might tonight.
Yes.
You might tonight. So there you are. If you've got any mimosa china, and we'll sell it to Anne, ring us on 01811 2211.
Thank you.
Right, well, here on my other side, we have Mrs. Eileen Tooth, who found a bracelet in Islington 2 years ago and would very much like to return it to its owner. Now, Eileen, you actually did try everything. You went to the police everywhere to return this bracelet.
Yes,
Let's
yes.
have a look at it, shall we? Can you... There we are. You hold it, you hold it. That's right. Can we see that bracelet? There you are. Pretty gold bracelet, well, gold-plated anyway, with links. OK, now, why do you want to return it after all this time?
Well, I feel, taking into account the inscriptions on it, it must have tremendous sentimental value to the rightful owner.
Right, well, Eileen, there are 3 inscriptions
Yes.
on the bracelet, and you're
Yes.
going to tell us 2.
Yes.
Can we see that? Can you read out the first
Yes,
one?
the first one says, from JT to BT, as a token of esteem and love, September the 22nd, 1948. Then on the next link is Alexandra Mary, May the 19th, 1950.
Right, thank you very much, Eileen. Well, we have kept one other name on the bracelet secret, so if that belongs to you and you can tell us the other name on the inscription, or if you know who's lost it, then ring us on 01811 2211. Now, here we have Victor Shepcott and John Shepcott with a very unusual request. Because it's unusual, John, isn't it? Because we might well be talking to the only Shepcotts, is that right?
As far as we know, we are the only Shepcotts left. We tried to trace my father's father and failed dismally at Catherine's house. I checked 20-odd years of birth records and there were no Shepcots at all. I've checked all of the UK phone directories and there are none, apart from us two.
So that's Vic Shepcott and John Shepcott.
John Shepcott, and that's it.
I
as
wonder
far
if
as
you're
we
the
know.
only ones. Why do you want to find other Shepcotts?
Well, wouldn't you? I mean, it's we surely can't be the only ones. I mean, unless I have a son, I've got two daughters. Unless I have a son, then our line, the name will die out with us. Unless we find some more.
Well, it's very interesting. Let's hope we can find some Shepcotts. So, if you know anyone called Shepcott, ring us on 01 811 2211. 01 811 2211.
811-2211.
Yeah, as you can see and probably hear, it's all starting to get ever so busy, and we haven't got the noisy roller skaters this week. Now, let's just give you an update on the telephone numbers so far, just in case you've been trying to get through and you haven't got the right number. Kathy's very busy as well over there. You're sitting here quietly in the middle. For the singing pets, we probably anticipated we might get a lot of response to this. For the singing pets, it's 01 811 9270. For the members of the cast of What a Performance, please ring 01 749 9656. And for potential rock and rollers, she's very busy, I don't quite know why, it's 01 749 9611. It's getting busy. 01 749 9611 for Kathy. I think I'll go and see how Richard's getting on first, I think, because I like these.
Well, we have a singing otter called Bee.
A singing otter?
Called Bee.
Yes.
She has a friend called Mr. Bumble, and they're hoping for little bumblebees.
OK, fine, I'll leave you with those. You just keep talking then. Yes, I thought you probably would. Right, fine. Kathy, how are you doing, my darling?
Yes,
Can I butt in for a second?
Just one moment, I've got a young man from Bedford.
A young man from Bedford. Hello, good evening. I'm sorry to butt into this serious chit-chat. It's Chris Tarrant. Good evening.
Evening, Chris.
Well, whereabouts are you from? So what's your name and where are you from?
David Wadner.
And you're pretty good at jiving, are you?
I enjoy driving tremendously, yes.
OK, well, obviously, I'll leave you and Kathy to chat about it, but we are also expecting people who live locally who can get close enough to central London to actually come and join us at the end of the show. You're a bit far away for that, aren't you?
I am at the moment, yeah.
Never mind, I'll leave you chattering and see what you can fix up. OK, I'll hand you back. Why are you smiling? Why are you winking at me? As you remember last week, we talked to Derek Poynton, who worked in a double glazing factory, but desperately wanted to be a professional singer. Well, now, a bit later on, we'll tell you just how much has happened to him these last 7 days. But this week, we meet up with two other young hopefuls whose talent's been hidden away all this time right in the very heart of the music industry. And it was spotted by a mate of theirs, musician Denny Ball. Denny works at a recording studio in North London, and he reckons to know a good musician when he sees one. After all, he works with top-class ones every day of his life. But Denny's eyes and ears were caught by the studio's secretary called Plum, who sings to herself between bites and phone calls. She has a lot in common with another employee, the Youth.
Can I have a bite?
He's a roadie who sings while he humps gear. Denny got Plum and Youth together and helped them make a demo tape. Now, Plum and Youth want to turn pro. they seem to like it. Mind you, they like the singing dog as well, so I shouldn't think... Sign about Richard, somebody's just shouted. Presumably that's what you want. I mean, you actually want to make a record. You've never sung professionally, you've never sung together before, but you want to make a record, basically.
A recording contract, that's the main thing we're looking for.
OK, well, we'll try and give you as much time on the phone as possible. The number for Plum and Youth is 01749 9551. 01749 9551.
The animals, because we've just had a very interesting call. It's for John Shepcott. In fact, John, a Mrs. Shepcott has just phoned in. So, Lakido, if you take over a phone to John in the audience, check out what it is, John, and then perhaps we'll catch up with you later on in the programme. Now, it's all happening here. I can hear dates happening on the next one. Now then, Sam.
Yes.
You've been chatting on there for a very long time. Who have you got on there?
I've got Peter Oldersley from Radio Luxembourg that was.
Right, well, can we just point him out on this picture first?
Now, if I can
Peter
see where
Oldersley.
we are. We're over here. There's Peter.
Oh,
Peter? Wonderful. Isn't that excellent?
Yes.
Now, can we have a chat? Can I have a chat with Peter?
Yes, go ahead.
Peter?
Yes, I'm Mary.
Hello.
Oh, surprise, surprise.
Now, you were one of the stars of this What a Performance, weren't you?
We all were in those days.
I see.
Yeah.
And what did you do after the RAF then? Did you go to Radio Luxembourg?
No, not straight away. After the RAF, I went to Forces Broadcasting Service.
Yeah.
And then I spent the next 20 years in the theatre.
Well, isn't it marvellous to see Sam again?
Oh, lovely.
Right. Well, let's
actually, apart from the glasses and the hair, he doesn't look much different, does he?
OK, Peter, I'll leave you talking to Sam, and then perhaps some of the others will come on.
Yes, OK.
OK, Sam. Right.
Thank you, Mary.
Yes.
OK.
Hi, Peter.
Now, our next guest is fascinated by Houdini the Great Escaper, and he wants anything to do with Houdini, but more than that, he's looking for challenges from you. Ladies and gentlemen, David De-Val. Fascination then start for you?
About 1954, Mary. And I saw the film which starred Tony Curtis and Janet Leigh about Houdini, and this thing set me off. I wanted to know how he did it.
Yeah. Well, since that time, you've collected hundreds of things belonging to and part of and showing about him. And we're going to show a couple of things. First of all, a signed photograph of Houdini.
Well, actually, this is the signed one.
That's the signed one, yes. Now, where did you get things like this from?
Well, an old gentleman actually gave me that just before he died, and I was very lucky to get hold of it, because this could have been thrown away and lost forever.
Really?
And it's so precious to me to have them.
Yes. Right. Well, now, we've got here Cuttings Book of Houdini, right?
Yes, these are my cuttings from newspapers, contemporary cuttings of the time. And perhaps you could... Oh.
Oh, that's a good cuttings book, isn't it? Look at that. Yeah,
an error has crept in.
Yes.
Well, Mary, would you like to work some magic?
Of course I would, yeah.
Wave your hand.
Desperate, I'd like to work magic.
Do you think we could? Because look.
Oh, bravo. There they are. Wonderful. Right. Well, in fact, we have got a tiny bit of film of Houdini doing one of his great escapes. And if we have a look at it now, because this is the man, isn't it?
This is
you're
the man.
totally opposite. There he is, look.
There he is, yeah.
Can you chat me to it? What's happening there?
I would imagine that... I haven't seen the film, but I would imagine that Houdini was going to do... Yes, he's going to do a straitjacket escape. He's taking off his tie. He's been strapped into a regulation straitjacket. This must have been performed in America. Oh, there he is. Can you see him struggling there to free himself? And he'd probably escape. Very dangerous, but he'd escape in about 5 minutes. This was to draw the people to the theatre.
Now, you said, I mean, when Houdini died, the secrets of Houdini went with him, didn't they? And you say that you've worked and struggled and you cracked the secret of his escapes. Is that true?
I'm sure that I am the only person in the world that knows exactly how Houdini did it.
Right. Now, what do you want, then, tonight?
Well, I'd like any pictures, postcards, news cuttings, anything at all about Houdini. I would like, if we could, for people to perhaps search around, because, look, things like this, they shouldn't be... Look at the workmanship. Beautiful.
What's this one?
This is called a lily iron. This was invented by a Colonel Lilly about 1900. And, in fact, what happened? He went mad. he had some sort of brain thing, and they put him in a pair of these, and he died, actually, in a pair of his own cuffs.
Well, that's great coming from you. I mean, now you want us to challenge you to do something like that, don't you?
Well-
What do you want? What sort of things do you want when you say, I want a challenge? What do you want?
Well, OK, I've escaped from various things, handcuffs and so on. If there's anyone out there that thinks they could hold me prisoner, I want them to challenge us. There's nothing on earth can hold me.
100%.
I've never been beaten.
Well, that's a great challenge. Thank you very much indeed,
Thank you,
David. So if you go over to your phone box, you might find all sorts of challenges come in. So if you think you can catch David De-Val out, the number to ring is 01749 9881. That's 01749 9881.
Yeah, it's so busy here this week. There's another one. Yeah, I was going to say it's even busier. Go on quickly, take the call. Beep, beep, beep. He's very impatient, that one.
Hello? Hello? Yes?
Is that you?
This is Kathy.
Can I have a little listen on that?
Yes. Who's speaking, please?
Hello, it's Chris Tarrant from Hotline. Sorry about that. I'm the ugly one. How can we assist you, sir?
Oh, you're talking to me?
Yeah, yes. Well, probably. You're not a piano-playing dog, are you, sir, by any chance?
Pardon?
You're not a piano-playing dog, are you, sir?
Well,
You've rung up to talk to Kathy, haven't you?
yeah.
OK, so, well, whereabouts are you from?
Maidstone?
Maidstone. And what sort of vintage are you, sir? May I ask that?
I think we're talking wrong person.
Well, I don't think we are, sir. I was wondering how old you were, sir.
Oh, I'm 45.
45?
Yeah.
OK, she's scribbling down like mad. I'll leave you two to keep acquainted. Excuse me.
Yes,
Just get yourself acquainted. It wasn't the piano-playing dog, anyway. How are you getting along over here?
We've got competition for George.
I beg your pardon?
We've got competition for George.
Not another piano-playing dog.
We've got a girl called Holly Hart who sings anything we want, and I've just asked her to sing Strangers in the Night. Can
A
we have-
girl?
It's a dog, but it's a girl dog.
A bitch, you mean?
A bitch, yes. OK, let's have Strangers in the Night. You sing, and let's see if the dog can sing along with you. Let's go. It's coming. It's good.
I think I prefer the dog. Anyway, thank you very much. Whoever... Yeah, fine. OK, well, I'll leave you best of luck with that one, Richard. All of which leads us... All of which leads us fairly logically to terrapins. Sort of flows together like lumpy custard, doesn't it? The big problem with terrapins is that they're lovely when they're born, but they grow and grow and grow, and they become quite uncontrollable and really thoroughly unpleasant. My mother says the same thing happened to me. Our next guest is Mr. John Cheetham, who's one of the few people I've ever met, in fact the only bloke I've ever met, who actually likes them fully grown.
That's right, yes I do.
Now, John, the problem as I understand it, just hold that one out very carefully, because that is the sort of baby terrapin that the average doting mum and dad buy for their little treasure, don't they? Ah.
That's
for
right.
about, what, very cheap?
Frequently, parents buy this sort of terrapin for a couple of pounds from a local pet shop. It's just called a common snapper, or a snapping turtle. And this little creature was only born 10 days ago. It was born at Linton Zoo, in fact. It's 10 days old.
Well, they look fine, lovable, cuddly little things there. And, the audience are going, yes.
Yeah, having seen that, can I put him away?
Yes, I think you should.
And then after 4 or 5 years, he can become like this.
Let's have a look at that. Now, that's only 5 years' growth, isn't it? 4 or 5 years.
This is 5.5 years old. This is Reggie.
He's Reggie, is it?
And
Hello,
he's
Reggie.
Got, and the common snapper.
Yes. Can he sing?
No, but he hums quite a bit. He hums terribly.
He certainly does. And this is what, about 7
this
years old?
one is 8 years old, and this one is Myrtle. This is Myrtle the turtle.
Yes, well, it would be. Now, apart from being big and bulky, how dangerous are they, for kids particularly?
These are extremely dangerous.
I'm glad you told me that. Yes, hold him still.
It's called a common snapper, and it's earned its name because it's got a very nasty temperament. You can probably see its mouth is wide open now. It'll bite anything that moves in front of its head.
Looks a bit like Bob Monkhouse, in a certain light.
This creature, Myrtle, was just like this about 8 years ago, and she now weighs 28 pounds.
And you were telling me there's one lady who let it grow and grow and grow and kept it in the sink.
Kept it on the draining board in the sink, yes, somewhere in North London. That was Reg.
So what... Oh, that's how you got Reg?
That's how I got Reg.
So
Reg was given to me.
What do you want and why
Can I
do you want
remind you
it?
this weighs 28 pounds?
Just put it down any time it wants, really, Myrtle.
That's all right. This is I've got to keep repeating because I don't want any other species of terrapin. This is the common snapper, or the snapping turtle, Chelydra serpentina, if you want to be posh.
Yeah.
And
Now,
you can
why do you want them?
I collect giant reptiles of all kinds, and I'm particularly interested in this species because it's so primitive. It's very, very primitive indeed.
So what you're saying is that any parents who've got one, or anybody basically who's got one that's grown completely out of all proportion, far greater than their expectations.
Yes.
Now, are you prepared to go and collect it yourself, wherever it is?
I'm quite prepared to do that, yes.
Because I think a lot of people will be worried about it.
Anyone
It's not
who's
something
bought one
you
of
put in
these
your
thinking
bicycle
it's a-
saddle, is it?
If you think it's a cute little pet like that, and it's outgrown you, and it's become one of these, I'm very happy to take
Okay,
it
so
from
you've got
you.
about another 15 minutes. If you've got a snapper terrapin that's eating you out of house and home, ring John Cheetham on 01 749 9091. That's 01 749 9091.
Yes, right.
There's so much that you could do. We're all waiting here for you to call the hotline.
Well, now, as promised earlier, it's time to catch up on what happened as a result of last week's Hotline. And we have with us again Mrs. Paddy Rabbit, and she was looking, if you remember, for 1940s clothes for her charity period fashion shows. And you've done rather well, haven't you, Paddy?
Oh, it's been magic.
Yes. What response did you get?
Well, unbelievable, really. And I must thank everybody that sort of telephoned and written, and I shall answer every single call.
Right. Well, I think that the magical thing was this trunk of clothes, because this came from the Memorial Baptist Church in Plaistow in East London.
That's right.
And apparently Queen Mary was the patron of the church, and she sent a trunk full of clothes to the church, and it was hers and her servants.
That's right. That's
well,
correct.
the piece I absolutely adore that's in that. I mean, look at that.
Doesn't it suit you?
Isn't that beautiful?
Beautiful.
Absolutely wonderful. I love it. But the piece that you particularly like is this American negligee.
Very, very, yes, a wedding negligee.
Yeah.
Most interesting.
Very 40s with the sort of
That's
pads
right,
and all
yes.
that kind of thing.
And I think that, in fact, came with the bundles for Britain. And let's face it, there must have been a few bundles around at that time.
Well, somebody else really funny. Somebody else who also has offered you something. In fact, you brought in your cami knickers, Mrs.
That's
Hanson.
right.
All right. Now tell us about those. Yes.
Well, they're very patriotic cami knickers. They've got the flags of the Allies on them. There's the Union. Yes, they have.
Right, we've got the United States,
The Stars and Stripes.
Union Jack, and even the Russian.
Yes.
Which
yes,
of course
how
makes you-
sickle the flag of the Russians.
Was it a bit daring to wear cami knickers then?
Well, not really. They were. I tell you what they were. They were better than the old Wren's PKs, the
I bet
passion
they were.
killers.
Now, sitting next to you, we have Mrs. Edna Wilson. Now, Mrs. Edna Wilson, you have offered Paddy a wedding dress.
Yes,
There were
I have.
11 offered, but Paddy chose yours. So now, can we see it? And it's been worn by your daughter Caroline. That's lovely, Mrs. Hanson.
Thank you very much indeed. Any offers?
It's beautiful. I mean, if we could just look at it, it's got obviously the sweetheart neckline, wonderful train at the back. What's it made of, Mrs.
It's
Hanson?
oyster satin, figured satin.
Now,
yes.
it was your wedding dress, but tell
It was
me.
mine, yes, but it was made by Vi Rodent. Now,
And it was made for a friend.
Yes. My best friend is Bernadette Rodent, and I'd love her to ring in and say hi.
Oh, how marvellous!
Oh,
yes,
yes.
And although you've got 3 daughters, you're going to give it to Paddy.
Oh, yes.
Right.
yes.
Well
I'm
done.
going to sell it.
Good.
And
That's
then
the
she's
point.
going to do it for charity.
Right.
Yes.
Well, Paddy, you did very well
Oh,
indeed.
and
didn't you?
thank you very much. And
Well,
thanks to Hotline.
Thank you all very much
so
indeed.
much.
Chris.
Got to come forward, actually, because it's very, very noisy over there. Let's try, if we can, to catch up with the developments since last week. The news from Pam Kelly, you remember her, you must remember her. She was the lady with the 8 children. She has chosen a companion. They seem to be getting on very well. In fact, they're in the audience tonight. He's Patrick Mooney. He comes from Edgware, and they're sitting over there. I could just about see him smiling, looking a bit uncertain, actually, the pair of them, over there in the front row. Incidentally, a very nice gesture on the show last week that I think you could just about hear over the phone lines. Pam also received £500 this week from Big Daddy to take her kids on holiday, so that was rather nice, wasn't it? Now, Derek Poynton... Derek Poynton, we saw him earlier, our double-glazed singer, starts this Sunday for 1 week supporting Chas and Dave at Blazers nightclub in Windsor. He's been offered his own regular Friday spot at the Kingfisher Country Club near Wolverhampton, and Mecca are going to see him with a view to offering him a tour of their clubs. Something, incidentally, which I've just heard may well be happening to these two over here as well. We'll catch up on that in a minute. Jan James was trying to remember... I got very confused during this item. I got very confused during a lot of things last week. Jan James was trying to remember the name of a novel. It had a serf in it, a falcon who went down a coal mine and became a doctor. She wanted a copy, but she didn't quite know what to ask for. Now, someone did ring in during the programme and suggested this one. Apparently it turned out to be dead right. It's called To Keep This Oath by Hebe Winolson. There you are, a classic from the Serbo-Croat school of early Serbo-Croat literature. Thank you, Mr. Bailey from London, and Mrs. O'Neill from Salisbury. You're dead right. That apparently is what the novel was, and she's got a copy now, which she's going to read again. In spite of losing the last 2.5 feet after washing it in the bath, Mr. John Roy does still appear to have retained the title of having the longest one in Britain. The nearest that any of our callers could get was a pathetic 11 inches, and anyway, he took it off last week. A brave try by William Freytag, I think his name was, from Loughborough, but it does mean that John still has got the longest moustache in Britain. Another compliment to John Roy. Karen and Roy Farnham have named their boy twin baby John Roy Farnham, which is really a bit of a waste of time after all the names that you lot suggested. We were inundated with calls last week. In fact, you gave us 2,000 boys' and girls' names. They're all in here. They actually do include things like Mr. Punch and Jehoshaphat, so one or two of them are fairly useless. Anyway, the boy was called John Roy, and the girl has been named Claire Louise Farnham. And if anyone else has a problem naming their new arrivals, you might as well write to us, and you can have a copy of this, the Hotline Book of Handles.
Incidentally, out of all those names, only one of you suggested the name Henry, and that far-sighted person is Tracy Mudge, a schoolgirl from Fulham. Well done, Tracy. Now, here's Ruth Bavin, who was looking for a Nick Rhodes lookalike, and here's the choice of the people who rang in. Well, let's remind ourselves, or me in particular, Ruth, what Nick Rhodes looked like. There he is, he's the... What, is he keyboard player?
Keyboard player.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, here are the three people. We have Jeremy first, Ruth. Tell me what you think of Jeremy.
Well, I think he looks like him. I do think he looks like Nick Rhodes, yes.
Now, and Jeremy, you're a hairdresser, aren't
Yeah.
you? Which is not surprising, you've got a lovely hairstyle. What about Andrew?
Andrew looks more like Roger Taylor, I think.
And who's he?
He's the drummer for Duran Duran.
Now, Andrew, you don't mind wearing makeup, obviously, because you've got quite a lot on. Do you enjoy putting makeup on?
Yeah, I quite like sort of dressing up. You know. I enjoy going to fancy dress parties and things like that.
What about Paul?
I love his hair. I think his hair's gorgeous.
Oh, Paul, you had it specially done, didn't you?
Yeah.
Now, you actually do make a lot of your own clothes, don't you, Paul?
Yeah, I made this.
Let's have a look at this. Isn't this clever? Well, there you are. Yes, there you are. Well, Ruth, I'll leave you two now to be you four.
Thank you.
To put that on. I think you did rather well there.
Yeah.
So, that's last week's successes. This week, the phones have been chock-a-block again. And down in the basement, we have lots of extra phone lines, as well as those up here in the studio. And it's really been quite hairy in there. So, Chris, how are we getting on this week?
Well, he's ever so busy. Who have we got now, Richard?
Well, we're not getting any trout, so we've got another dog, a 4-year-old Dutch hound, clears out the pub at closing time, drinks Guinness and lives off stills and cheese.
Is he still there now?
And it's still there now. Let's hear you.
Yes, we're still here.
OK, let's go. Let's hear you.
Call time, Bolly. Call time. Come on, call time, Bolly. Call time.
What's he doing? Calling time?
Yes. I think we'd leave the pub pretty quick.
OK, well, you keep exploring those. You're going to get those all night, I think. It was your fault. It was a damn silly idea in the first place as well. How you doing, Sam?
I can't believe it. Sam has spoken to Peter Aldersley that we heard earlier. Can we have Gordon Napier, Dern, is it? And Kay Turner.
That's Kay Turner.
And who have you got on the phone now?
Kay Turner.
Kay Turner. Well, that's done very well
Yeah,
indeed.
Very well.
Right.
I'm very pleased.
Next move.
Just so to see what's happening to Kathy.
Oh, there's another young man here from Salisbury.
Good evening, sir. You're another one ringing Kathy, are you?
Yes.
Actually, can you hold on a second? So I'm desperately trying to catch up with... She's been incredibly busy, this lady. Hang on, just hold on there for a minute, if you will. So hang on, just hold that. You've had 28 calls. You've spoken to 7 so far. Lots of dates, it says here. Free ticket. What's this one? What's
Free tickets for Blackpool. Read that one out. Want to see me, just want to see me.
Will you read it out? They want to do what?
It says, free tickets to the rock and roll concert and competition in November at Blackpool Winter Gardens from the manager, Mike Barron.
Oh, I see. Well,
And the competition is 2 tickets for America to see Elvis Presley.
OK, well, you get back on the phone there, whoever that gentleman was. Get in it.
Hello.
How are we doing now?
Hello.
Where's
Sorry
Meg?
about that.
Oh, OK, right, yes. Well, here I'm in the audience, if you remember, with those 3 little stories. Eileen Tooth, it seems as if we've sadly been unable to trace the owner of the bracelet, possibly because the lines have been jammed with people ringing in about their singing animals. But if there is anybody who thinks they have it, can you phone us during the week on our main number? Now, what about you, Anne? How did you get on?
Wonderful. Look, a whole set in Glasgow of cups and saucers and side plates. A collection in London.
Mrs. Marlowe in London, yes? Yes. And Mrs. Wilkinson, and she's rung in, and you've got lots and lots of things.
Lots,
Now, the main... John, are there any other...
Incredible. Individually, there's 2. There's a family from Los Angeles, and one, I think that's supposed to be Ashstead. And you've had a roundup at the end to say there's 15 more.
Fantastic. Chris?
It's getting ever so busy. What's this one, darling? You've had lots of calls. I'm delighted about that.
Well, we've had Mick on.
Hello,
who's offered us a tour.
Yeah.
I've had Mean Records on, who's offered us a recording deal. And
Hello.
also the Chevalier Brothers, who've asked me to be on the cover of their single called I Like 'Em Fat.
I like 'em fat.
It's the
OK,
Chevalier
they
Brothers.
sound nice. OK, you keep taking the calls over there,
Right.
Mother. He's also very busy. He's also... Mind you don't trip, Mary. He's also... He's also found a policeman. Hello. Never mind all that. We haven't got time. It's 3 minutes to wait. What's the matter with
Yes.
you? The policeman's appeared.
Right. Well, the policeman says, can you get out of those handcuffs, David De-Val?
I will try. I will try.
Right.
Are these brand new? They're actually...
Have you? Brand new handcuffs.
They look actually your cuff. I will attempt to escape, but whether I can, I don't know.
While you're doing that, can you tell me, have you had a good reaction?
We've had a very, very, very good reaction. When I get out of these, if I can, I'll tell you exactly what's happened.
Is it the snapper?
We've got a lot of nice things there.
Right.
Does it have spines?
It's going to be very, very difficult.
Well, I'll leave you getting yourself out and
Okay.
I'll hand over. Oh, to Chris.
It's all right. You can be there.
Another one.
Right. Very, very briefly, we are running desperately out of time. How have you been doing?
I've got 6 so far.
6 terrapins?
We'll probably pick them up this weekend.
That is fantastic. What have you got there for me? Curse. Oh, there's some more terrapins here. We've also got a gentleman outside, I think, who can rock and roll. Have we got him as well? We have got some rock and rollers. Bring him in. Bring him in. These are 3 guys who are close enough to come on down. Good. Kathy, put your phone down. Come on over here, Maya. Come on. OK, stand there. We've got something for you to do in a minute. You control what you can do. Hang on a sec. Where's Mary gone? Right. I've got me rock and rollers ready.
Oh, cue the... Oh, right.
Well, I don't think we're going to get much sense out of the singing dog, so you might as well leave your job. Who's going to take it?
That's it for tonight. If you couldn't get through to us tonight, then the main number is switched to our London office from tomorrow morning. So try it on 01 811 2211. Or you can write to us at Hotline, BBC TV London, W12 8QT.
With people rock and rolling in the studio, there's singing dogs, there's people ringing up about record deals. There's a man promised to bring in 3 terrapins tonight from British Rail. From all of us on Hotline, join us next Wednesday when we're coming from Manchester. From Mary and I, good night.